doing.
Perfect.
We are purely winging it, which doesn't make you a wing nut. It just means you're winging it.
Unless you want to be.
Yeah,
case,
you can declare your own winginess.
Okay, I'm game. I locked the door so no one's gonna disturb me, I hope, and we're good to go.
Yeah, where are you right now?
Yeah, and what's a camper van? Explain that. Explain yourself, Mr. Wald.
Well, I'm Dave Wald. So this is one of our, well, now we have about 35 of them, almost 30 for sure, 35, 5 more next door being produced. But we make these camper vans ourselves here at Karma Camper Vans. And then we rent them out. So we're kind of filling this gap in the market where you could either buy a really, nice but expensive RV or motorhome and use it 3 to 6 times a year, or you could rent a big, ugly Class C motorhome from one of those large mega RV rental dealerships for an exorbitant amount of money, and not be able to get into many places because it's too big. Or you could rent one of these little vans, pretty much take it wherever you want and camp off grid for as long as you want, for an affordable rate. So they're all handmade, all camperized Ford Transit vans. They're high roof transit vans. There's 6 feet 6 inches inside, and super comfy queen size bed, all the amenities of home. It's kind of like I like to call them IKEA bedrooms on wheels.
Nice.
Very cool. Will you sell them or only rental?
We actually have, we've put some up for sale, some of our originals, which I don't know if you want to get into that necessarily. It was a little bit of economics. We were bleeding cash and we were hurting for some quick cash. A lot of people have asked for them to buy, and normally we say no. But of course, given the economic instability of our business right now, we're almost willing to take whatever you can offer us for a camper van right now.
Got it. Yeah, I understand. I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
So that's what we do. Yeah, it's a 2-year-old company. We launched it actually May 2 years ago, almost exactly. Been growing like gangbusters, and we were on course for a banner year, and then something called the coronavirus took that all away from us. So
lit your banner on fire.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. I was in the same boat with the TELUS Convention Center. We were on track to have our best year in like 5 years. Growth was going great. The team was freaking on fire, and then like hit a wall. You ever see when they take like a something on fire, like a Molotov cocktail?
Molotov.
Cocktail? Molotov. Tuck it in a wall and it hits and it just goes like that, and then it's done. It's flamed out. That's what happens.
Sounds amazing to watch and a tragedy.
Oh, spectacular. Spectacular. But that was the whole events and meetings industry. Just like boom, hit a wall. Fortunately, there's a ton of brilliant and resilient people, and so now it's starting to virtualize itself, which is pretty cool to watch that phenomenon, and we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And what did it do to you, David?
It created an opportunity, one that I didn't anticipate. I ended up starting a consulting practice. That would have been end of February is when I was ready to go. This personal brand, life coaching, and I just didn't realize I was going to help people find their voice amongst a COVID pandemic. So it's like, and it's super important. Those that are trying to make a difference and lead and have typically led from behind are now given the opportunity to lead out front. And what does that look like? And it's pure chaos right now. And it's about managing that chaos, right? Publicly, openly, and transparently. So it's the perfect opportunity to do this kind of work. And I just didn't anticipate that being part of the game. it complicated, as it does, right? Complicated everything. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's brand new and fresh, and I'm just hanging on, man. Just enjoying the ride and seeing what kind of opportunities will show up with just being with people and having conversations. That's
Yeah, well, I know I enjoy it. It's a pleasure to work with you, and I enjoy this little experiment we're running to just chat with people and go through some things. So I've written out some stuff to challenge you guys with in terms of conversation. And the first thing I would love to hear is just, how was your week? Like, what happened this week? You guys are both dads with more than one kid, married. I assume the COVID hasn't affected that yet.
That's still standing.
Still standing. Me too. Me too. And yeah, how was your week as a husband, a dad, an entrepreneur? What's going on?
For myself, there was the beginning of the week was helping. There was actually for the weekend, it was yard work, getting in there, getting my hands dirty. And I've been wanting to do that type of stuff for forever. And the busyness of life has always prevented it or justified not taking it, and spent an insane amount of time outside to the point my hands were so sore. I had to like put balm on for like 2-3 days. So I hadn't experienced that level of soreness clicking away on the computer here. So that was therapeutic, and there was a real opportunity to connect with the kids and have them help and update their bikes, get them all ready to go. And then during the week, it's been, we're pretty good. We operate, there's a status quo that just in this environment, it's how we've done it already, with my wife and I working from home for the last 11 years. This is not a new thing. The kids being here all day is a new thing, but then we set them up on their computers. They got their little offices now that they've set up, kind of like mom and dad, which is so funny to
Super
watch.
cool.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And so they set up shop and they do their schoolwork, and then they go have fun. I kind of want their life, actually.
Very cool. What about you, Mr. Wald?
Yeah, very similar. I'd say, like, we spent the weekend definitely getting the yard back in shape. We've got about a foot of leaves that the snow covered early that we needed to get rid of. And so yeah, we were at work doing that this weekend. And then this week, honestly, been kind of hashing it out here at the shop, working on a couple of different things to do with the pandemic, business stuff, trying to come up with some promotions, because we had a feeling things might be opening up here soon, as we got the announcement yesterday. And then, yeah, I kind of go home at the end of the day to a wife who gives me the rundown of how the day went, and the kids who are out running around and riding their newly maintained bikes around the block. The other thing I've been doing, actually, which I'm hoping to do more of lately, is riding my bike to work. It's about an 18-kilometer jaunt right over Nose Hill Park, which, for anyone who doesn't know,
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. It's a steep up and a long down, and then on the way home, it's a long up and a slow and a steep down.
Whereabouts in the city?
So I'm in the Northwest. I live in the Northwest in Dalhousie, and in the northwest part of the city. And then our shop is actually in the northeast by the airport. So we're Country Hills Boulevard and 36th Street.
Oh, nice. I'm in Hidden Valley, so I'm almost right beside Nose Hill.
Okay.
Wow. You can be one of those dads, David, that says, when I was getting started in business, I had to bike all the way uphill to work. And on the way home, I had to bike all the way uphill home. So, dude, use that, man. Help me.
100%. But yeah, it's been a good week. Definitely, like I said, the news yesterday about parks opening up soon is a blessing for us. And I'll tell you a quick funny story. So that, the premier had the announcement about parks and camping potentially opening up very soon here, which of course is a blessing for us because we just need people to rent camper vans and get out and have fun. And it wasn't an hour after that that we had a booking out of Calgary for May 21st. So
damn,
right
it's
on.
happening.
I was standing in the Costco lineup and I got the ding on my phone and I like messaged everyone right away and I was like, we got a booking. It's been like, literally it's been like crickets for 6 weeks or more. And finally.
Great news.
Yeah.
That's awesome, David. That is what we're talking about. That is good vibes, baby. That's awesome. Cool. Well, it sounds like you're both having a, amazing week, and things are starting to break apart and unearth, and still holding down the fort as dad and husband and making all that stuff go. Yeah, really, really great. So in that though, surely, as you were pointing to, David, there are challenges, right? In just coping with life and life as we know it under quarantine. How's any stories about this week's life in quarantine and how that's going?
Oh man, where do you start?
Yeah, just a story. It doesn't have to be, I mean, good, bad, whatever's happening. One of my favorite stories this week that I realized is my son and I, who he just turned 20. I have 4 of them, so I give myself permission to kind of calculate which one I'm talking about. He turned 20. We do 2 or 3 times a week, we go for a workout. We run to a set of stairs. We do hits, high intensity training where you run up the stairs, run down the stairs, do push-ups, do sit-ups, stuff like that. Super fun, great workout. He's 20, so it's like, wow, just keeping up with him. And he's a basketball player, athlete. Awesome. But my favorite part of the week, and one of my favorite things, is the time it takes, because once we're done our workout, we just walk home. And just walking home and talking and connecting with my son. Freaking brilliant. Brilliant.
That's awesome.
So thank you for the silver lining, right? Like it just, that is the one gift I look forward to. It's not the workouts. I don't look forward to the workout. I look forward to the walk home and connecting with him. So that's one of the things that has me coping with life in quarantine right now.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a slowing down, right? That's just been inherently there. You get to take advantage of it, or you can try and do whatever you want to keep a pace going that might not actually be real, but really there's a slowing down that's happening and getting present to people. My kids and I, and so Wednesdays are family day. This was created by my daughter. So Dave, just so you get a sense, I have twin 8-year-olds, boy and a girl. And so Wednesdays are family day, and we like to sometimes we'll watch a movie, sometimes we'll play some board games or what have you. And I'm always on the lookout because I'm a casual gamer myself. I'm on the lookout for the type of video games that you can really play together, and it's on one screen, and there's some variables there. And I got this game called Overcooked, and the objective is that you make orders in a kitchen, and you got to cut the food, you got to fry the food or steam the food or whatever the objectives are, and we got to work together, right? Well, we did that on Wednesday, and it was the first time that Maya actually joined us for a game, because normally they're a bit fantasy-esque, more to satiate my appetite for the imagination. And this time it was not that, and we probably spent, I don't know, easily 3, maybe 4 hours playing together and working together, because it really required this synergy to discover and figure out. And it was great. We all had so much fun working together, and I just got present to how easy it is to just not do these types of things, to just go on automatic right, watch something, or the engagement kind of, it takes work, right, to do that type of stuff. And this was really easy. The kids, it's like officially it's their new favorite game. And so there's a lot of really great connection this week.
Where do you play the game?
So I have a media computer just on a PC,
Oh,
and
it's
we have
a
it.
PC game.
Yeah, I believe it's also on consoles as well, but we've never gotten a new console.
Well,
for
I'm
a
gonna
while.
check it out.
Yeah, it's
I
worth
hear
it.
PCs rule. Anyways,
They've got their perks for sure.
Yeah, always on the hunt for better video games. We're not really a video game family to begin with, I would say. Like, we've been really slow. I've always been slow to adopt the video game thing. I always just played on my friends' video games when I was a kid. Bye, mom and dad. I'm gonna go to Brian's house and play his vids for hours, and then not come home until 3 hours in the morning. But we got a kind of a gifted secondhand Xbox 360 with the Kinect bar at the front, so it detects your motion, right? And that's been a ton of fun to play with my 6-year-old boy, who's totally into it. My 9-year-old girl is not so much into it. She's more like the casual observer, and then once she gets in there, has a ton of fun. But we're also on the hunt for more like games, like exactly what you're talking about, like things that perhaps include some sort of skill or like problem solving, or rational thinking, as well as interaction with others, and just like literally having fun.
Yeah, this one does that for sure.
Awesome.
There's another one called Rocksmith. It teaches you how to play guitar.
Oh, sweet.
So you plug your electric guitar in, and right there on the screen, and it's on. You can play it on console as well. It teaches you how to play guitar, and the kids are now doing that. They'll just pick up the guitar and they'll play it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
remarkable.
remember the days of Guitar Hero and then the band one, and playing with the kids. More my boys than my girls, for sure. But my one daughter, who's now 19, she loved it too, and she would always be trying to pull us together as a band.
Nice.
It was so much fun.
Well, this one's like Guitar Hero, except you learn a real guitar. It's not just 4 buttons. So it takes it to another level. Yeah, my family loves them. I'm
not very good at it. My
19-year-old
daughter crushes it. She is
not
so good. And then my competitive thing kicks in, and then I feel like a loser, and then I'm like, I'm not playing anymore.
Nice.
Hey, what did you guys see in the news this week that is worth highlighting? There is the big announcement that came out yesterday from Kenny about opening up the province and getting things going back. But any other interesting news stories? The one news story I picked up is that I'll share, especially for anybody that's a gardener. Given the COVID and the lockdown on distribution for plants, bedding plants and stuff like that, the nurseries in BC and Alberta have a backlog. Like a massive backlog. So now they're coming up with pop-ups, and there'll be pop-ups happening around Calgary, Red Deer, Edmonton, where they're selling wholesale direct.
That's awesome.
So I don't know where to find that. I think it would probably be on Twitter or LinkedIn or some news thing.
Probably on their social media.
I remember just seeing that on a tweet feed, a pop-up gardening happening. Wholesalers backed up with inventory. So
amazing.
I thought that was pretty interesting in terms of one. It'd be nice just to, as you did last weekend, David, just dig in the dirt, put some plants in.
Yeah.
They got wholesale pricing, go check it out.
Yeah, we're committing to that every weekend, actually, just to continue that process and elevate it and figure that out too, right? Grow stuff.
Yeah.
News, man, I haven't actually paid attention to anything.
Sometimes the best deal is just to unplug that shit, right? Like, I don't need to hear it right now.
It can be so stressful.
Yeah, I'm with you. We kind of got immune to the amount of news that was happening around COVID and the economy, and But, you know, I almost felt like there weren't enough feel-good stories out there, or stories that actually don't relate to the virus and the pandemic. And I feel like that's what people are a little bit missing out on right now is, you know, what's happening with people in general and other businesses or industries that are still running. And you know, obviously there's been some major tragedies happening in the last little while that have also, I think, made people realize like, oh shit, there's like other things happening other than
Right.
just, you know, a pandemic and my business failing. You know, people are still out there doing things, and there are still, you know, crazies out there that are messing things up. But we watched Planet of the Humans.
What's that?
It's a new Michael Moore movie.
I think I saw some people, interacting about that and sharing about prepare your headspace for it because it had a bit of a cynical message for some people.
I would agree with that. I'll let you guys watch it. It's on YouTube. It's free to watch. You go to Michael Moore's YouTube channel. It's there. Basically, the gist of it is that we've been, I wouldn't say brainwashed, but ingrained with this idea that we need to consider green energy more, right? And as opposed to using fossil fuels. And what they do is they basically expose, you know, things like how do solar panels get made? The wind turbines, how much energy goes into producing those versus what they get back out. Some of these like crazy big ideas like mirror farms, you know, in the Mojave Desert that were supposed to produce a ton of energy and that are failing effectively.
Wow.
It had cost so much money to produce. So it's a really interesting look at the unintended consequences of green energy. The interesting part is that, you know, you're expecting this feel-good ending, and the movie just kind of goes, and it stops, and like you're kind of left hanging. Like, well,
it's like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it's like, well, what now? So that was maybe not necessarily a news item, but something that had just launched. I think it launched on Earth Day last week. And so I made my wife sit down and watch it rather than Ozark, which were heavily binge watching.
A very different narrative.
Yeah, that's cool too. Hey, so one professional tip from each of you, you know, that would help people who interact with this experiment. What's one professional tip you could throw out? Either, you know, how to camp in a camper, or looking at your personal brand, what's one thing you could do? Or what's any, and I realize I keep putting you guys on the spot to see.
Yeah, Adam.
It's not to watch it.
Pressure.
It's totally not. As we run this experiment, I might send this sheet out in advance.
It's all good.
People aren't so like, but it does create a real authentic response.
Totally gritty and real. Well, I guess in your case, it's real. And how did you frame it?
Real, uncensored, and lighthearted.
Real and uncensored, yeah.
Yeah.
So Adam's kind of piggybacking on the podcast and the media platform that me and a few others have been working on for the last 3 years. And it's gritty, real, and uncensored. But his is real, uncensored, and lighthearted. So not as gritty. And I like that. It's a nice balance to it. It's perfect.
Sweet and salty, baby. Sweet and salty.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes you need that. A tip for personal brand. You know, we all show up thinking we gotta we think we gotta show up a certain way to make a strong impression and to win people over, and it usually comes out a bit contrived and inauthentic. And I would say the single best piece of advice is to really strive for being yourself and owning your truth. You know, like what is it that really makes a difference for you, and that be the hill that you own, and unabashedly own that. you know, there's a level of courageousness there because we actually, to your point earlier, we're looking for the other conversations. We're looking for what's actually going on. We're looking for the realness of what people are dealing with, winning, losing, like whatever the case may be. So stop putting on the show and just be you.
Right
That's
on.
probably the best advice.
Sounds good. Hope I do it. How about you, David? Camping season is upon us, buddy. What do we got to do?
Yeah. So book campsites in advance if you want to find a spot to stay.
Oh, I bet.
You know, I know they've been clamping down on that recently. But I think for me, the biggest key is I camp a lot with my family and my 2 kids. We actually have a little trailer that we pull. And we don't camper van. These are only really for 2 people. But although I've used it with my wife before and some friends, and it was a ton of fun. But I always recommend people when they plan a camping trip, there's kind of 2 ways to do it. One is either you have one destination in mind, right? So you're like, you leave the house and 6 hours later you're setting up at your campsite and you're there for a week, and then you pack up and you head home and that's it. But I always kind of like the road trip camping experience where you kind of have multiple destinations. And I would always, so there's you want to stay at least a couple of nights or maybe even 3 nights in a certain spot. And it could be I always like doing a mixture of like maybe some more urban camping versus more like super wild camping versus like, really kind of your standard campground camping.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always fun to plan out, and it allows you kind of do a little loop or some sort of trip where you can see some cool stuff along the way. So I always like to plan those out, and I always recommend people not to have to drive more than 3 or 4 hours in between a destination, because you really want that opportunity to be, when you're driving, and I'm sure we've all done it, driven Highway 1 from say Calgary to Vancouver, and you're literally just trying to get there as fast as you can. And you're always passing by these,
Cool
places
spot.
that you're like,
yeah,
man, we should really stop there. So that looks, wow,
Totally.
right? We should really pull over. Really, but we got to keep going. And
right.
when
Not
we
today.
went camping a couple of years ago with our 2 kids, we actually made a point to say, look, if you see something and your first thought is, I will kind of want to, yep, we're pulling over, we're doing this. And if you leave that a good amount of time between your destination or your 2 points on a given day, it allows you that time to pull over and spend some time at those places that you've always wanted to check out or that you think is interesting and it's worth it.
That's a
love
good
it.
idea.
You know what? That is the perfect metaphor to end this on. And I'm going to build on that and steal from it, David, and say, listen, now is the perfect time to not be rushing to a destination and trying to get a result, but really, really enjoy the journey, explore the unbeaten path, go for a walk with somebody, take the time to read something that you normally think, oh man, I should read that. Given that there is opportunity to explore, my invitation, like yours, David, is to take it. Just take it. Go explore, right? Like it's so rich. Thank you so much. That is an awesome contribution, a great way to finish this. So thank you so much, David Wald. Appreciate your time today and letting us into your life a little bit. David Schmeichel, always great, buddy. We'll see you again next week, and we'll find somebody else. And the last word I'll give you is, how do you feel about socks? Are they really necessary?
They're fundamental if you want your shoes to maintain a certain odor caliber.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mr. Wald,
I think
how do you feel about socks?
Socks have a certain time of day. So yeah, it's kind of a daytime thing for me if I'm at work, but as soon as you get home, those things come off.
Yeah, I think life is better in flip-flops, so I try to avoid the socks. Anyways, you guys have been awesome.